Pepsi's not going to be happy with us. All right.
You know what makes me really enjoy getting deep inside my comic books? The great taste of a Sunkist.
Refreshing.
Oh, crap! I've never drank this before. It's terrible.
When polar bears read their comics.
When I want a Zima.
I don't think they make those anymore.
They're coming back.
Oh, God.
Anybody have any Anison?
So let's just go around the table and just talk about real quick, like what have you been reading in comics? Doesn't really matter. Marvel, DC, indies. What's really kind of struck a chord with you guys?
I'm reading a lot of Garfield.
That's the first comic I ever read. Comic strip, yeah. Garfield.
We get those papers. I like to peel out the funnies.
Yep.
Yeah, I never knew what those papers were for.
Yeah, you read them.
They come in the mail.
Yeah, that's actually how comics started.
Oh.
Believe it or not. They started in papers.
Reading Garfield, does that make you want to eat lasagna?
You know what? It makes me not want to eat lasagna. Because if it's tasty to a cat, it shouldn't be tasty to humans. That's just the way I feel about
That's a good point.
everything. Yeah.
I once had a friend who created a recipe for crunchy lasagna. I said, Mike, what's in your crunchy... Oh, I shouldn't have said his name. Oh, it's a good thing there are lots of Mikes in this world. He'll know. Anyway,
Who he is, yeah.
crunchy lasagna. Chief ingredient, kitty litter.
What?
Yeah, well,
Did he actually make this food to be eaten?
I think it was just, a stroke of
it's
cruelty
just
on
a
his
joke.
part. But
Is
anyway.
it that Mike? Do I know this Mike?
I was gonna guess Fritos or something.
Yeah, joking, right? It's like
Maybe it's
joke.
undercooked pasta.
I think
That's
he was
cool. That's a
joking.
joke.
Let's hope he was
That's a
joking.
joke.
Anyway.
Okay.
So-
I can't handle it.
It
Getting
wasn't my
serious
joke,
now,
though. It wasn't
okay?
my
Like
joke.
enough digressions.
So, anyway.
I believe it was your...
In all seriousness. Alright, you started Garfield. You're really unplugged Garfield now. That's good. Jim Davis is really happy.
Yeah, read
Genius.
Garfield. It's a great newspaper comic.
Yes.
Get your local
Good comic
paper.
strip. Alright. Rob, how about you?
If you don't know what a newspaper is, you're too young for us. I'm kidding.
It's a thing.
We want the youngsters watching this.
It's a
too,
thing
so-
you use to wrap your mugs when you're moving.
No, I've been the weirdo, and I've been doing the vintage finds of just digging through random boxes and seeing what I can find. And most recent one that I found was 1992 Morbius, the Living Vampire. So
It's a bargain bin special these
bargain
days,
bin
you know.
special. I
Thank
found-
God for the '90s,
It might make a
overproduced.
comeback, right?
I know.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Marvel characters, for no particular reason, just as just a throwback there that nobody knows who he is now. So, but,
He was a nothing then. He's a nothing
yeah,
then.
pretty much.
That's why you love. He was a pretty big deal. I mean,
Yeah,
he was big enough that he got his own solo series.
Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
That's fair. How long did it
Badass.
take, like, many other
Well,
solo series to...
Well, let's
came
face
out
it,
in
Nomad had a
86.
series too, though.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I think he started in '86 with this solo stuff.
He was definitely Bronze Age.
Yeah. Was he Bronze Age?
Might be a Copper Age. Otherwise,
First
it
was
much
like-
younger gentleman, what does this mean? Hey, on behalf of our
So-
viewers, of course.
as far as when the comic was actually
Yeah.
released, I believe it was 101. I want to say that he was his first
The
appearance. was
year
in?
101,
Yeah.
No, the year 101.
carved on stone.
Yeah. He was a living vampire, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't-
Yes.
He was.
That was the
Yeah.
title, actually. Morbius, the Living Vampire.
Yeah.
Maybe you can explain what a living vampire is, because it was actually it was pretty confusing.
So is he a vampire that's not undead? Like he's just a
he's-
regular Joe that sucks blood?
Yeah, kind of.
He was like
He aspires to be undead.
He's
Yeah,
a science-made vampire,
Yes.
not
Yeah.
like a vampire
Okay,
from
alright,
legend.
yeah. All right.
No, I gotta do some freshing up on his origin story, but yeah, he's just a vampire.
So back in the day, they had the comics code used to be very strict, and there was
Right.
a rule against having undead characters. So you couldn't have zombies, you couldn't have vampires. So Marvel got around this by
That scared
He's
people.
making a
The
living
living vampire.
yeah.
Ooh.
I think they
So
should have
you can
just
go in the sun. And
gone
Yes,
with less
right.
words and just called him more or less lesbious. I don't know.
That's a jar.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have a pun jar, and I'm gonna owe it big time. So anyway,
He already does.
more on that later. For me, I have to. I mean, I've been saying this well before we started shooting here, like from months and months. Actually, going back now, well, 2 years. Manifest Destiny.
Oh, Manifest Destiny.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's you've never mentioned that before.
I've
actually.
I've never mentioned
Except
it.
to every
Right.
customer who walks
I've
in the
never
door.
heard of it.
I'm
And you
just
know what?
looking for a bathroom. Yeah,
What?
Manifest Destiny.
I'll tell you though, no one has come back unhappy with
No,
my
I have
recommendation.
not. I have not.
All right.
I've actually been meaning to dive into that myself.
It's a good series.
So.
It's a wonderful series. Fans of historical fiction, you're going to love Manifest Destiny. You get Lewis and Clark on the most wild adventure, horrific adventure at times that you could ever imagine. Basically, throw a bunch of like mythology and horror into a historical book, and that's what you've got. And the team that they bring with them, it's a bunch of
It's like motley crew.
It's a motley crew, right? And it's you have a bunch of regular army soldiers plus a bunch of criminals who have been conscripted into the military to earn their freedom. Which makes it even more dangerous because you don't know if the guy next to you has your back or not.
Right.
And it's a big high tension book and a beautiful book at the same time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ryan
it's
Utley really
nice.
goes out of his way
Yeah,
with those monster
yeah.
designs.
It does.
I mean, they has every episode, every issue has like a splash page where it does like the monster reveal for that issue, and it always gets me every time. I mean, I can get that book just for that page alone.
Yep. Yeah, so that's I say you can't go wrong. So
Yeah, Manifest Destiny is fantastic. Did anyone read The Button? It was DC's. DC's
no,
recent.
no, I haven't.
So, are you guys reading DC's Rebirth, or been
No,
a
Canada?
little bit.
A little bit.
I get.
I read Harley Quinn. I do
Yeah.
because of Red Tool. That's basically. If he got his own offshoot, I would not read her anymore. I am so in love with this character, even though I hate DC with every ounce and fiber of my being.
I believe you.
Any time he makes an appearance in any book, it's mine. I must have it.
Can you explain for our audience?
Yes. So
who Red
for
Tool
those
is?
of you who don't know the actual origins of Deadpool, essentially back in the day we had a fun-loving character named Slade Wilson who took on the mantle of Deathstroke, and Marvel turned around. He's a DC character, and Marvel turned around. They're like, okay, well, we're gonna have a little bit of fun. This is our character, Deadpool, whose name is Wade Wilson, and he is a complete foil to Slade in every kind of way. Same exact powers, same exact kind of background. They're both mercenaries. They both are kind of smart mouths, but Slade is much more serious. And Wade is a complete goofball, and then, as time progresses, he slowly turned into the Deadpool that we know today. Well, DC, recently in the past, since there was like 2-3 issues right before the Rebirth within Harley Quinn, they introduced a new character, Wayne Wilkins, who is known as Red Tool. And it, again, is just a complete DC foil to the Marvel Deadpool, and it is so beautifully done. He get brought right in. He immediately, as soon as he takes up this mantle, the first thing he does is try to win Harley Quinn's affections, and he does this by gathering a whole bunch of these, thugs who've been getting away with all the crap that they do, brings them together and essentially takes them all out to try and impress her. When that doesn't work, he decides, okay, well, I need to make sure she stays in my life, so knocks her out with knockout gas and tattoos his phone number on her buttocks. And it's just, and of course, now she's
Nothing sense.
annoyed beyond belief, and she's got to track him down to essentially, like, what the heck is this all for? And then, lo and behold, as time progresses, they kind of fall for each other, and it's a beautiful thing. It really is.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I can't stand his word balloons. It still gets me.
I think they're great. But see, that's another Deadpoolish thing where Deadpool has his own signature word balloons, and Red Tools is exactly the same, except it's always in the shape of some tool.
So I come from the school of reading comics that the word balloon shape dictates how the words are being delivered.
Yep.
So when I see Red Tool delivering lines in a buzzsaw picture word balloon, I'm hearing just sawing noises. It's like him hammering shit when he's talking.
But that's kind of Red Tool, and that's the beauty of it.
I don't know if is that how you read it. That's just how I hear it.
Yeah,
Okay, cool. I didn't know.
Because it brings that whole personality together.
It doesn't make sense. I mean, let's be honest, it doesn't make much sense. So
no, it doesn't. Well, he's not supposed to make sense. That's the beauty of it.
yeah, well, none of those guys do. I mean, Deadpool essentially Deathstroke and Spider-Man regalia.
Essentially. And then you have Red Tool that is just like, okay, well, you took something good and you made it absurd. So they took something absurd and made it, I'm not even sure how to describe it. The guy literally runs around with a red and black suit that is just strapped down head to toe with different tools.
It is literally meta Inception, right?
Yeah.
It's a meta within a meta.
He is a blue-collar guy, though, let's face it.
Yeah, he likes to get down on his
He's the working
hands and
man's
knees
hero.
and use hand tools to get the job done. Whether it be putting that table back together for your wife or taking that bank robber down.
All right, let's get back to the button, though, real quick.
All right,
Let's
button.
wrap,
So-
let's wrap
sorry.
up.
So the
Sorry.
button, anyways.
Before you got red hijacks.
I digress.
So last year, DC launched their Rebirth event, which was their company-wide reboot after the New 52.
Right.
One of the key mysteries that came out of that first button issue, the first Rebirth issue, was Batman finds embedded in the walls of the Batcave the comedian smiley face button from Watchmen. You guys familiar with Watchmen, right? Oh, of course. So the comedian wears they yell smiley face button.
Yeah,
I
I do understand. Yeah.
Right. So, anyways, Watchmen, as far as the DC universe goes, is its own standalone thing. It doesn't really operate within the DC multiverse of 52 universes.
Right.
They're supposed to be their own thing. So the fact that this Watchmen artifact showed up in the DC universe was a huge bombshell to the fans, because we were all thinking DC's bringing the Watchmen to the DC universe. We're gonna get Rorschach. We're gonna see Dr. Manhattan, messing it up with Superman. We'll see Batman chopping it up with Rorschach. But after that reveal, they didn't really do anything with it. The mystery just kind of.
So DC failed to deliver.
Well, they were
Once
building.
again.
That's a surprise.
They didn't. It's not that they didn't fail to deliver. They were playing off. They put it on the back burner. They had some other mysteries that they were going to go into, but that all was supposed to lead up to this button event, which crossed over between Batman and the Flash.
Okay.
So it's DC's two greatest detectives, and they're determined to solve the case of where did this button come from? What is it? They don't know who the Watchmen are. They have no idea what this artifact is.
So the premise of this whole story is Batman finds a random button in the Batcave, and now he is bound and determined to figure out what it's from.
Well, part of the reason he's so determined to find out where it's from is because of this radiation that the button emits.
Okay, see, that makes a lot more sense, because if I find a random button
Yeah.
in my bedroom, I'm just like, oh cool, I don't know where
I
this
got a
came
smiley
from.
face button. So,
Yeah, this is great. I'm gonna pin it, and then that's cool. That's what
Probably
I got.
Damien left it here.
Yeah,
Last time he was messing around in the cave. So what made this button unique is that it was giving off a radiation signature, which was similar to a radiation signature that was given off by, you guys aren't DC fans, so at the end of another DC event.
I'm actually not a DC fan. These guys do what they do.
So at the end of...
I like
exactly, they
Superman.
had a Flashpoint. DC did their Flashpoint, where they was another reboot time for them. At the end of it, Flash brings back a letter to Batman, Oh, I'm sorry. This was at Rebirth. I'm sorry. We're still at Rebirth. So, Flash brings back a letter from the Earth. Which Earth was it? Earth Zero.
One of those.
One of the Earths. One of the other Earths. One of the
Flash
Flash.
52.
One of the Flashpoint. This is like it's like the Flashpoint. It's the Flashpoint universe, right?
Okay.
Where Thomas Wayne has taken up the mantle of Batman.
Oh, yeah.
So, Thomas Wayne Batman meets up with Flash, who's traveling between the different universes. At the end of it, Thomas Wayne gives Flash a letter that he wants to give to his son Bruce to the other in the other dimensions. He wants Flash to deliver it to him, and essentially the letter says, "Son, for me, give up being Batman. That's my biggest wish. Is that if there's anything you could do for me, don't be Batman." So.
Okay.
Batman's taking a look at this letter, and it gives off certain radiation from that universe. The button gives off a similar radiation. So, in Batman's mind, these two events are connected. So that's why he's determined to get to the bottom of this button mystery. DC basically said, all right, we're going to do this button event. It's going to be 6 issues between Flash and Batman, and it's going to get to the bottom of this button mystery. And it didn't. Like, at all. At all. Like,
Next time on DC
Jeez.
Messes Up.
like literally, like, at all. Like, it didn't give us, like, any answers. Like,
Do you think this is like an Easter egg that they're dropping for another future?
I do.
The next time they're
Well, honestly,
like, in a
I
couple
think
weeks?
I think it's going to be some of that. I think it's also some misdirection.
Right.
They've been hinting so hard at this Watchmen DC crossover that almost feels like it's a red herring that they're trying to get you to look another way while they're kind of like introduce like the actual big bad of this. Right now, everyone's assumes that the big bad is Dr. Manhattan.
Right.
He's the one that's behind recreating the New 52 universe and also with the latest Rebirth, recreating this new Rebirth universe. No one's really sure, but all the signs have been pointing to some kind of Watchmen related. Because there was there's Button, there's a character called Dr. Oz that kind of looks like Ozymandias from Watchmen. He's got a tattoo that looks like a nostalgia bottle from Watchmen. So it almost feels like they're playing so hard at bringing in Watchmen to the universe that it just seems like that's a head fake, right?
Right. All right.
All right.
I really wish it was that.
Well, that's all right. There's always next month, right?
Yes.
So
Well, yeah, they'll completely redo their universe again, and that will probably be better.
And then again. And then again. And then again.
this might be a nice little segue into some of the cinematic world. This weekend, obviously by the time you're seeing this is going to be long history, way in the past. But Wonder Woman, which represented a giant leap forward with their filmmaking, at least as compared to the last couple of cinematic efforts, which pretty much shook my faith.
They're bad.
Yeah.
They're bad movies. They're just bad movies. When it comes down to it, Batman versus Superman was just a tragedy,
Right.
and not in the good way. All right, and Suicide Squad really fell flat. So
I haven't seen either of these movies. I had been saying before, off camera, the very first DC movie that I had ever seen that I was actually genuinely excited for was The Green Lantern, and it fell so short that it kind of shook my faith in their ability to present us with a decent film.
Meanwhile, bounced right back from Daredevil.
Wonder Woman changes that.
Yes.
It's because DC wants to do that whole edginess to the films, and Batman Superman was done so badly because they were mashing so much into it. The only good part about it was the leading storyline to future films. Like, showing that the three of them are together, they met. Cool, they met. That's all we needed to know.
Right.
That's what we got from Batman vs. Superman.
Yep.
So, to my understanding, Batman vs. Superman is the first look into the Justice League,
Yes.
but not necessarily the first for that universe. It's the first time we see Ben Affleck playing Batman, but
Well,
because I don't watch too many of it, but they
it's a
brought this.
sequel to Man of Steel.
Right. Okay, that's what I was getting.
But it's
So-
called Dawn of Justice
but it's
because
Dawn-
it's supposed to be the lead into.
Because
Right.
now they met. Now there's a new Batman.
So can
Wonder
I,
Woman
can I
gets
ask a
in
question?
there.
So obviously the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they built up over 10 years worth of videos, movies that come out that built up to the Avengers. Justice League seems pretty rushed. Does Wonder Woman slow it down?
Yes.
Okay.
Immensely.
Yeah.
Because all it does is this movie is a pure origin story of
correct.
Wonder Woman. But it comes back to lead into the future of the films.
Right. So
So-
it's kind of like you have the Batman versus Superman, and then at the end you get that Easter egg of here's Wonder Woman, and then you get a backstory that shows everything building up to that point where she steps
Yeah.
in between them.
And let's just say that we'll put it out there that if we saw instead of Batman versus Superman another Batman origin film, or if we saw another Superman origin film, people would have been tired of it. They
Yeah.
wouldn't have bought into it. And that's not a defense of the result that we got from the Batman versus Superman.
No, but it's a very valid point.
But finally, we have a character here who's not gotten the full cinematic treatment in a justified way with Wonder
No.
Woman. Yeah, she was basically a cameo in the Batman vs. Superman movie, and now here she is in all her glory, the first feature film with her. I have fond memories. I'm going to give away my age here of Linda Carter.
Yeah.
I grew up watching that television show, but now here on the big screen, the presentation of Wonder Woman is fantastic and was afforded an origin film which made sense. And
This
and
film
it was performed very well.
This film just makes me excited for the Aquaman origin story, if they do an origin story.
So I do
Or
want to actually see
Cyborg.
that. Mostly because I love Jason Momoa.
Yes.
I watched him
Yeah.
first and started Atlantis, and his character was like powerful and strong and like assertive, but at the same time kind of goofy and funny too. And so Jason Momoa, just as an actor, really anything that he played brought me right into it. Khal Drogo, he really knows how to take a part and like make it his own. And I feel like if he can take that same way of presenting a character and do it with Aquaman, who is a wildly underrated superhero. He is in fact probably one of the more powerful superheroes in any universe, and he is so underrated because most people think, oh, he just talks to fish and he can control the waves, so that's great. But no, he's actually a supremely powerful hero.
Yeah.
And to have Jason Momoa step in, I know, I hate
I was going to
DC.
say justifiably underrated. Okay. Sorry.
He's doomed to that old Super Friends cartoon. Really
Right.
kind of did in Aquaman's image.
But I feel like Jason Momoa can bring Aquaman back to a point where he is respected as a superhero.
I really thought it was the most surprising casting choice out of everybody. I mean, everyone kind of resembled their comic book counterpart,
Especially Superman.
but Momoa, I mean, he does not at all look like the blonde hair,
Completely
blue eyes.
There's the
Right.
edginess that
Completely rewriting Aquaman.
DC needs to do something different than Marvel, and that edgy side of what they want to go for, that's him. Like, he brings this badassery
Oh, I love it. I
to
mean,
the,
they take
to
the
the character.
Yeah.
probably like the most
Needed
joked
it.
character of the group, and probably looking at the most badass character of them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What this movie, this Wonder Woman movie really makes me excited about is now that this is the first real female-led superhero movie. Now, what I'm thinking about, what is Marvel gonna do with Miss Marvel? Like, how big is that gonna be?
Captain Marvel, I think, is
Captain
going to be huge.
Yeah, Captain Marvel.
Well,
Yes,
they want her to be, because even in the comic universe, when she's brought in, she's made out to be like pretty much more. She's like a Tony Stark mixed with a Captain America,
Yeah.
and she covers all bases. So
And she polices the universe.
yeah, she in of herself, her presence alone commands a certain authority, and it completely changes the face of how we look at the female role as far as the superheroes go, and Wonder Woman emulates that.
I think it really started looking at female characters a different way. Really started with the female Thor. Like, oh, there's a female Thor, and she's badass.
That was definitely one of the more high-profile changes
Yeah.
into the mix-ups.
Absolutely.
Definitely a lot of mixed emotions when that happened.
And I think they did it well, and it actually put Thor in a position to take up a completely different mantle and yet still keep his own image. But now we're kind of digressing back into the comics.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so with the DC cinematic universe at this stage, where I believe we're expecting the Justice League film to be next. Is that correct? Or is there going to be another movie in between?
I think we're getting a movie between, are we?
are we getting Aquaman first?
Are we getting Aquaman?
I think we
before?
are getting Aquaman first, and
Which
then
would make sense.
yeah, because he seems like a kind of character that would probably benefit from having a solo movie to flesh him out, rather than try to shoehorn him in to like a goof
So
movie.
again, I'm under familiar with the DC universe. Does the Justice League also include the Flash and what's his name? Green Lantern.
So it's like the Avengers. They've had different iterations over
Yeah.
the years,
Yeah.
right? So it's been a rotating cast, but like the original Justice League wasn't. Like Cyborg wasn't in the original Justice League. It was Wonder Woman, Flash,
Batman.
Green Lantern,
So I feel like those are core
and
characters.
I think Martian
that we really-
Manhunter.
Yeah.
I think it was Martian
Yeah,
Manhunter.
yeah.
Yep, that's right.
So I feel like getting a Green Lantern in there that isn't, the mess that we got with the first film, and potentially getting a Flash in there, but then there's also there's a balance between that and the TV universe, the TV series of, because I've actually liked the DC TV series. I've always been a lover of those. And I think they do an excellent job, and the Flash TV series in of itself is very successful and very well done. Is there a crossover there, or are they just going to completely carbosh that connection there and bring in a new player as
I
Flash?
think you have to imagine that they're completely different universes, right? That's why the Flash universe doesn't.
They've announced that they are.
Yeah.
They're not going to intermingle the universes.
Like the way
at all.
Shield kind of does it for Marvel.
Yeah.
I, for one, am kind of a little disappointed
Yeah.
that they're not going to blend
they're-
their TV into their cinematic. I think Marvel is conversely doing a heck of a job on the other end. We're using Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to kind of tie in all the cinematic events into their TV world, and I'm hoping that we see that blend into. I mean, there are not massive, but there are little Easter egg references throughout the Netflix shows that reference events from the cinematic universe. So it's nice having that cohesion, and you feel like every time you're watching an isolated story, it's part of some bigger story.
Yep.
I feel Marvel.
That's a kind of a cool thing.
I think it is a cool thing. I think Marvel's giving themselves a luxury because they plotted out how their new movie universe is going to progress over the next 10 years. So they have a roadmap they can work with. I think DC is still kind of on that point where they're thinking our movie universe could either go one or two ways depending on how the next series of movies actually pan out at the box office.
I think they realize that they have to jump into it immediately because Marvel is creating kind of like this wave of, it's reunited this love of superheroes both in the comic and in the cinematic universes, and DC hadn't really jumped on top of that until they tried to hit us with the Green Lantern. And I think what they kind of want to do is, if they don't get on that fast enough, they could end up at the back of the wave, and all of their content's going to come out, and people just don't really care about superheroes anymore. Which is why they kind of rushed it in. But in seeing how quickly they came into the cinematic universe and the content that they put out wasn't all that great, I feel like it's time for them to kind of slow down and give us like really good, strong content on an individual hero basis so that they can build a better story.
I think what'll kill any particular wave of film is the quality of the film. If you're churning out product just for the sake of churning out product, that will cause the excitement about the product to die. If they stopped worrying about what Marvel was doing and just concentrated on their own game, I'm quite certain that, we've had Star Wars for generations now. If you're putting out good quality, people will come and watch it. These are iconic characters. Let's not forget that DC started before Marvel.
Yep.
Right? They have, maybe Marvel's breadth of work has created more memorable characters in terms of quantity, but DC has probably the most identifiable, heroes of all time. So I think if they just stopped worrying about what their competition was doing and just concentrated on their own game, I don't think there was any need to rush anything out. They could have just slowly developed over time. Hopefully that, as Rob was saying, like Wonder Woman kind of puts things back on track for DC at the cinematic level. But how about TV? Is there anything on TV that has kind of caught your eye recently?
I don't watch TV all that much. If I'm watching something, it's generally going to be Netflix, because that's just, I spend a lot of my time just hanging out down here at the shop and reading comics.
You want to watch Iron Fist?
I have not watched Iron Fist yet. I started watching Jessica Jones.
Wow, I heard it's terrible.
I've heard
it's not bad.
Exactly.
Oh, thank God.
It's a mixed review.
It's not bad.
It's not as good as Jessica Jones and or Luke Cage, but it is.
Yeah. I'm glad I got Stan's our cameraman. He's giving me the thumbs up behind me. He likes Iron Fist.
He likes Iron Fist?
He's got my back.
So Iron Fist keeps popping up in my face every time I turn on Netflix, but I won't watch it until I'm caught up.
Yeah, you should get caught up.
So I started with Jessica Jones, which is not.
Daredevil.
Oh, what? No, you haven't watched Daredevil yet.
No, I haven't.
That's a
watched
Cardinal
the
thing.
second season.
Oh, it's so much better than the
season.
first
Oh, I
one.
know.
It's so beautiful. It's so beautifully done. And it takes two brand new characters in a limited time span and introduces them in such depth that both characters have their own full backstory alongside the core character, and then they come together and develop just to get to an ending that is so twisted that you don't even see it coming, and it just gears you up, and you're like, okay, I need the third season right now. I was disappointed when those credits ended and there wasn't another episode coming after it. I was like, you're telling me this is the end of the season? Like, are you kidding?
They're also
in a binge session.
they're also saying that they're working on making the decision to take the Defenders into the cinematic universe.
See, I think it would be nice to kind of if they kind of co-pilot them in for like a movie or two.
Yeah.
But the beauty of it is the Avengers is the big team,
Yeah.
and they're on the big screen. Then you have the Defenders that are a little bit less known.
Well,
They're not as
street level-
powerful.
street level guys.
They
Yeah.
deal with the bad guys on the day-to-day basis, not like the big villains.
They're not
And that's
fending off
why,
like alien
and that's
invasions
why
and
it's
shit
so
there.
great that they're on that smaller screen, or the more identified. Because you see a movie, you get enveloped in it for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and that's it, and that's all you need. But with these lesser characters, like the Defenders, you can get a little bit more invested because it feels a little bit more real, and you spend more time with them. You learn a little bit more about them. You get more in depth.
There definitely. I mean, if we're going to talk about like comic versus TV, like even Tony Stark at one point says, I'm going back a little bit in the comic history here. Spider-Man goes to Tony Stark and says, in the rest of the Avengers, it says we have to do something about Punisher, and Tony Stark's like, what? Like we're stopping alien invasions. Why are we even bothering with a street level character like that? So there is this, even in terms of classification of hero, they even have like their own social hierarchy. You know what I'm saying? So
I think it would be an injustice to take those TV characters and try to adapt them to a huge like film world where they don't really fit in all that well.
I would agree with it for the individual characters, but I think as a team-up movie, it could work in the movie format, because then you're talking less about having to develop characters and develop backstory and get yourself emotionally invested. We've already built that. At this point, having an hour and a half long of them just like kicking ass with special effects, it might be pretty sweet.
it might be. It might feel forced for some big event movie. I mean, of course, we're looking to see the next Avengers movie kind of do the Infinity Gauntlet story, right?
Yeah.
And that would feel very forced to see like some of the like Defenders characters get
just
rushed
show
into that,
up.
like where
Well,
it's
I mean,
like
they can't, they don't fight with, they don't stand, they can't stand toe to toe with like the cosmic powers.
they can't. And why are they there?
Right.
So that would feel kind of forced. Like we
But then
did it just because we could.
Adapting
But-
all of that. Okay, you do your thing now.
But I think the Spider-Man movies would be a perfect opportunity, because here's a hero that does operate at Avengers level but does street level. There's a perfect forum for, why not have Daredevil show up in a Spider-Man film?
I mean, they are.
Why not have
They're like best
Luke Cage? Why not have Spider-Man stop Punisher from making that hit on a mobster? I think that could work. That's definitely, I think, one of the avenues to go if you want to like bring some of those Netflix Defenders characters into the cinematic world.
It's a shame that Marvel doesn't have the right to Spider-Man movies, right?
But their partnership now with Sony is actually bearing some fruit. I mean, we're going to have Tony Stark appear in a Sony Spider-Man film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I think that Sony and Disney are figuring it out.
We did get Spider-Man in that
Captain movie.
Yeah, in Civil War. So
exactly.
So we're getting snippets back and forth. So there
is that chance.
We'll just never see mutants.
But even if we look over in the Fox world, all right, Fox, there might be some hints that there's actually some partnership actually happening. I mean,
Loosening their grip.
Loosening their grip. We got the Ego character, which technically I believe was in the Fantastic Four body of work, was actually granted for the Guardians of the Galaxy film.
I believe technically it falls under like Inhuman kind of.
Well, it may. So there's been some little bit of haziness in terms of like which characters went where in terms of property.
We had the Silver
and
we had
the
Quicksilver
Celestials.
and Scarlet Witch were technically mutants
Yeah.
originally when they were born, and then they were kind of reconstructed even in the comic world as just being your general run-of-the-mill superheroes. So you get the Fox Quicksilver, who is the mutant in the X-Men sagas, and then you have the Quicksilver that is
The Avengers
in
movie.
the Avengers.
Right.
who's made from science, and they don't use the name Quicksilver.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So
Even though
that might have been more legalese on the part of Marvel.
It was.
Right.
But I mean, no one really knows, but there's been a lot of conjecture that the Celestials were actually a property that went with the Fantastic Four films. So if that is the case, maybe that's a sign that Fox is kind of looking at what Sony and Disney have done together and been like, whoa, maybe we should kind of think about partnering up a little bit here because there's a lot of money to be made.
And
we know
terrible.
we know Fox loves to make money.
You can discover the Island Guardians and the power of Pokemon GX in Pokemon trading card game Sun and Moon. Guardians Rising. In stores now.
Each booster pack of 10 cards sold separately. Cards vary by pack.
Not good movies.
Yeah. They're still making money off of them.
Oh god.
Which is terrible.
You know, DC doesn't have this problem, right? DC still owns all of their property.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they can't put out a decent flick.
It's
It's
mind-boggling.
a tragedy.
It's all Warner
Because they
Brothers.
don't have to fight
Well,
for it.
all the films of Warner Brothers,
Right.
DC.
Yeah.
So
All right. So bottom line, TV, Iron Fist. We're saying I'm the only one really
I haven't
that's
seen it. I
haven't
heard it's so
seen it.
terrible. I'm not bothered.
Yeah, build it up.
And our
Build it up.
cameraman, Stan.
That's right.
Stan the man.
Give me 2 thumbs up for that one.
Sorry, Stan Lee. It's not. Didn't mean to tread on your title.
Great. The watch is down upon us now.
Yes.
Oh, is that
Exactly.
a spoiler?
So you guys should see Iron Fist sometime in the next
All
month.
right,
So next
make my
time we
leg
sit
back.
here and talk, maybe you can tell me just how wrong I was, or
So was it like good or was it just okay? Because like I have a hard time investing 10 hours into like this
I heard
okay
that
series.
Okay.
it is more or less a catalyst for what's to come with the Defenders.
yeah,
But do I have to sit through 10 episodes in order to like
13 episodes.
13?
That's it. I'm out.
You're not selling me on it.
Well,
I'll sit through it on the principle to watch the Defenders.
Oh, see, I hate that
I have-
rationale though.
I have to
That
do
shouldn't be
that.
the reason why you watch
this,
something.
this show is not what I don't understand the hatred that has come forward for
A lot of
Iron
people
Fist
that
online.
I've talked to do not like the show like at all.
The show was just fine. It might have been the weakest of the 4,
Yeah.
but the shows on Netflix have been phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I mean, so maybe it might be a step down from the other ones, but it is not. If you just look at it on its own, it is not a bad series. You know, and I'll stand by that to the day I die. I'm not gonna, crap on Iron Fist. I'm not gonna jump on that bandwagon.
If I
It's-
waste 13
I
hours of my
was-
life, I'm putting it on you.
I was entertained. You can throw some shots at me on the crank
Well,
file.
He's saying 7 out of 10.
17?
Yeah. 7
He's
out
saying
of
now
10.
it's 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. That's a
17 out of
solid
5.
rating.
17 out of
crazy.
How many hands do you have back
That's,
there?
see, here we go. That's a solid rating. That's a solid
okay,
rating.
gotcha.
Yeah.
And you know if it ties in well.
He's just throwing
with
hand
the
signals back
universe,
there.
It makes it
Sometimes
work.
don't
Word,
make
exactly.
sense.
Exactly. It's a continuity thing. I'm a big continuity guy. Then again, you have to consider my opinion because I do watch anything.
Yeah.
But I won't acknowledge that something's good when it's bad. I'm fully like, oh yeah, that was a terrible movie. Did you actually sit through it? Yeah, I sat through the whole thing.
Was anyone excited about
But-
Games of Thrones coming back this month?
I saw season 1.
I read all the books. I'm only on season 3 on the show.
It lost me because I understand the direction that it goes in, but for me, I'm not really that person that enjoys something for the shock and awe, that's Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is shock and awe factor. It's like, oh, all this crazy stuff is happening. Now we're gonna cut a couple people's heads off, kill off all of your favorite characters, and then
and watch a brother and
You know-
sister get it on.
well, that part I like. But I'm just kidding.
Strike that one.
No, we're gonna keep that in.
All right, we'll keep that one
stays in.
I'm just kidding.
That's disgusting, Tyler.
You know what? But
But, you know, okay,
but back in the day, that was a thing. You know, you kept it within the bloodlines.
But it's well written. It's the costuming and the special effects are amazing.
Plus Peter Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage is the absolute man.
I will eventually see all of it, but a lot of people they try to sell it to me on but you'll never believe what happened. And I was like, actually, I can kind of believe that it's going to happen because it happens in all of it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's not an easy show to sit through. They definitely put all the characters through the ringer, which is tough. You know, it is a bit of self-torture sitting through.
I mean,
It's
season
it's
one,
so well done.
Season 1 did actually, I heard about it from a friend. This was while they're still making season 2. I heard about it from a friend, and I managed to find it legally online. I purchased it, probably. So I managed to get my hand on the episodes, and I watched one, and not only was I so drawn into it that I sat there and binged the entire thing in basically 2 nights, but I watched the first episode, and my cousin who had just moved down from Michigan, he was now sharing my room with me. So I had my computer set up on one corner of the room, he had his on the other side, and for 2 nights he and I were just watching our own episodes of Game of Thrones and our own setups. And then an episode would end, he'd have 20 minutes, I'm like, oh my god, and he'd be like, wait, just wait. I'm not there yet. I couldn't. So I'd be halfway through the next episode, be like, alright, I'm ready, and be like, I'm not ready anymore. But it really did draw me in, and I liked it. But then I didn't have any sort of ability to watch season 2. And then season 3 came out, and I still didn't have the opportunity to watch that, and so on. And then we were already in season 4 before I had HBO or any other means of actually getting my hands on it. And I just, knowing the direction that it was going in, I was pretty content with just waiting until I was ready to sit down and watch the rest of it.
Yeah, totally.
I know
it's probably a better watch. It's definitely a better binge watching show than trying to watch it week to week. But going back to your statement about continuity, I think the best part about it, the show, is that they have such a cohesive universe. You know, the Game of Thrones world really feels like a real place. You know, they have history and lore. They have, you can trace back the lineages of these families. I mean, the amount of detail that went into building out this world and the different lands and the different houses is really, it's really masterfully done.
George R. R. Martin gave HBO quite a playground.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
Anything else in the TV world?
Again, that's pretty much where I'm at.
And we need something to talk about for next month anyway. So.
Right. Black Sails. Another great HBO show. Is it?
Black Sails. There we go. I've never seen that one.
That's Stars.
Yeah, that's Stars. I got into that.
Yeah, I didn't watch anything else. I want to see. Was it American? Did I want to see American Gods on the Stars?
I want to see that, but I haven't had the opportunity yet.
Yeah, that's on my short list too. I heard that was very
I've
good.
been catching up on animes, so Attack on Titan and
Nice.
Death Note,
Yes,
that stuff.
Death Note's fantastic.
I was
I'm
actually
in the middle
told.
of Death Note right now.
Did they release season 2 of Attack on Titan? Because I was told to wait.
Right now, they are on episode 9 or 10 of Attack on Titan, released on Hulu.
Okay.
So, at least it's being released weekly or bi-weekly on Hulu.
All right. Because actually, because my cousin, the same cousin that came with me, he was just like, oh, Attack on Titan. I'm like, yeah.
Well, yeah, because
I
I binge watched the first season, and then you're left with the biggest cliffhanger I have ever
for like 2 years.
I have ever witnessed. There is no other show that tops that cliffhanger, and then I had to wait 2 years just to get the first episode that came on Hulu.
See, that's what my cousin said.
Yeah.
Because Attack on Titan came out, and it got huge fast. And my cousin's like, it's an awesome show. Don't watch it. And I'm like, if it's so great, why shouldn't I watch it? And he's like, because there's almost no plans right now for season 2, even though they know they're going to do it. You're going to get 2-3 years before it comes out. Don't do that to yourself. Wait. And I was like, okay, so I have. And so, it's been 2 years and everyone's all about Attack on Titan. I still haven't watched it yet because I was waiting for season 2, but I guess I kind of missed
And
the
you're
ball on
gonna
that.
like it even if you haven't read the manga, which I haven't. I'm going through now that I've watched it because you get more detail for the world and more history of what the show is, but you can still fall in love with the show without reading the manga.
Right.
I tried to read it, but it didn't make any sense. I'm turning the pages and I'm like, what the heck? Where is this going?
Reading it backwards.
Oh, was I?
Most manga go from
Just
to
kidding.
That joke's so bad that's on jar too.
Yeah,
All right, I'm
kind
going
of,
to the Punjar. They missed another pun that I had, by the way.
Oh, we didn't miss it. Sometimes we just
There's
forgive.
no idea.
Sometimes we just forgive you.
All right, I'm gonna
We
run out of
know
quarters.
we know worse ones are gonna come, so you should save your money.
So.
In life.